It's 2024 and there's a lot of new advancements happening in the Roblox flight sim community. And while the establishment are doing well for themselves, there are some newcomers that are currently in development. So today, I'm going to be talking about 5 new Roblox flight simulators that we may see launched this year. So I'm MrBullsFan, and let's start with the elephant of the room, FLAREFLIGHT. With a countless selection of 20 mesh planes like a small GA Beechcraft T6 Texan to your larger 727s and A330s, all of which will come with an interactive cockpit as seen with this A320 work in progress test. There are a bunch of buttons and switches and knobs to control within this model and create that flight experience that will be hard to match on Roblox. And a warning light? Damn! These planes would all be animated with this hawk tail having rudder, flaps, aliens, etc. along with gear suspension. For the plane skins, I found tons, and I mean tons of liveries planned to be added for players to choose from, all of which look highly detailed on every single plane, and there's a sprinkle of really cool special skins to fly with. And don't get me started with the map. There are individual airports spotted by the devs like Saba, Ottawa, John Glenn, Columbus, and a possible aircraft carrier, all of which has phenomenal lighting both on airport property and the surrounding scenery as well. This will be supplemented with the day and night cycle, and with this video provided by the devs, it doesn't look actually that laggy. Even the sunset goes into that interactive cabin. Oh, and probably the most mind-boggling thing about this flight simulator is that they apparently created a system to recreate the entire globe as seen by this picture of Barcelona. I've actually found the actual location on Google Maps, and yeah, it's actually spot on. I don't know how they'll fit within the highly realistic nature FLAREFLIGHT's built airports and planes it's trying to reach, combined with a GOFS style terrain, but we'll see how it goes. Other things they hinted was a career and ATC mode as seen by the main menu, AI civilians, whatever that add to the game, AI pushback, and computer screens on the menu to pick your plane, route, and weather type. Now there's 2 questions left in my mind about FLAREFLIGHT, and the first, is it gonna be that laggy? The devs don't believe so, stating it can run 60 frames per second, and they do plan on debuting it on other devices other than desktop, like mobile/tablet, console like PlayStation and Xbox, and VR? Like, hold up, that's kind of impressive. But plan on having a powerful phone regardless, because before you know it, your phone's on fire. The second question is, when is it gonna come out? Well, as stated by Dynastic, the founder of FLAREFLIGHT, he's aiming for a late March, start of April launch date, which leaves me in absolute shock because of how ambitious this game is. But all we can do is just let the developers cook and see what the future holds for them. I'll be certainly looking forward and staying in tune with what this revolutionary flight simulator has in store. The next flight simulator we're gonna go ahead and talk about is NOVUS, created by Ed Skelly. Now, a few days ago, they had an open public test to find bugs and gather thoughts of this new game, and while this is a limited showcase, it gives us a little glimpse into what NOVUS is trying to achieve, so I decided to check it out. After spawning into the menu and clicking on aircraft selection, we are provided with one singular aircraft, the A320. Other planes, like the Dassault Falcon, will be released at a later date. Now, you are greeted with 14 cool liveries, and a really cool feature about this game is that you could choose between an IAE or CFM engine and either have fences or sharklets. For the spawn points, there are 2 airports to choose from, Athos and Princess Juliana, which I chose the latter. Now, after I was recognized in game, let's just talk about this plane kit. It's quite a simple one with your speed on your left, map on the bottom left corner, altitude on the right, and your altitude indicator down here. Blood, what are you doing? The animations and sounds are pretty solid. Here's the engine starting up. And all the lights are cool and flaps work like a charm. After barely missing this Qatar A320 on the ground and Delta A320 above, we took off, put up the gear up, and the animation is what I was expected and is animated properly. Now, here's my pet peeve about the game, and it isn't really a bad thing per se, it may just be me, but the responsiveness of the controls. NOVUS itself, physics-wise, is actually pretty solid, but I feel like there's a really good delay on the roll of the aircraft. Yikes, what am I doing? Oh, now I'm inverted? And yeah, it got this bad. Though it was adjusted at a later update, so that's something. For landing, I was so blind to see my speed in descent that my landing probably broke some backs, but hey, it's just spirit. At least the gear suspension worked and the spool was deployed properly. And no, I did not overrun. To be honest though, I did try a second try, and trust me, it was a lot worse. I told you. While at the moment it is bare bones, there's tons of untapped potential that I believe the NOVUS team can accomplish, and I do wish them all the best in the project. Huge props to them. Moving on to AEROX, created by 4 founders who aim to create the Microsoft Flight Simulator of Roblox. And I do wish I can show myself trying such a cool game. Unfortunately, as I hope to be available, public testing has not opened at the time of this recording, so just bear with me. Just like FLAREFLIGHT, AEROX plans on having the entire globe to the player's disposal, utilizing the satellite terrain from Google and Bing. The terrain would generate like this, with different sceneries to represent the biomes of the world, like Eagle County, Colorado, or Mount Fuji in Japan. For cities and urban areas, however, buildings like this could also pop up. By the end of development, the hope is that it would be really optimized so it's both realistic and not laggy. Even potato devices can run 32 chunks with reason. The visuals would also be supplemented with a weather system in place, with this cool cloud skybox that would work live by layering the clouds as seen with this picture of the mountaintops. A turbulence system would also be in place, shaking the plane in such conditions. For aircraft, I've seen pictures of the 737, 747, A220, and A320, all which have amazing liveries on them, with my favorite being the Tennessee Southwest Special Edition and this Philippine Airlines one. On the outside, there will be control surfaces, gear animations, and engine sound. A video was also posted showing the flight physics of the A320, which looks phenomenal and feels visually realistic. There's one plane though that does have a cockpit and we have a video on, and that's the Cessna 172, which will give us an insight on the plane kit AEROX will utilize. There will be an interactive cockpit which will have the speed indicator, directional heading, bank indicator, and altitude on top of a satellite map. Other things like mobile support is also expected to be added as well, which would be a massive step in the game's success. If they're promised that the worldwide map can run on these slower devices, the accessibility would be massive. And yeah, while there isn't that much to talk about AEROX at the moment because of the lack of development pictures, this budding simulator has a chance to truly shake up the platform. As we get closer to the planned March release date, the dev team will be dropping more hints into the game that may very well possibly live up to the hype of the Microsoft Flight Simulator on Roblox. Our fourth flight simulator we're gonna go ahead and talk about is AEROFLIGHT by Edeno, and I do have some gameplay to show y'all. So for your airport selection, you have 4 airports to choose from: Atalo, Conquer, Kalor, and Bahur, all of them in different sceneries and landscapes around the map. Once spawned in, you walk over to the aircraft spawner over here, where you have 2 categories: civil and military. The civil section has only one plane, the Airbus A220, but it comes with 2 variants, the 100 and the 300. There are tons of airline liveries to choose from this batch, and I do see a resemblance to PTFS when it comes to these airline liveries and the slight alteration of them. In military, there are 2 fighters, the F-16 and F-22. I got into the plane, started the engines, and started taxiing. I put some flaps down, tried to line up, can I please turn, and started the takeoff roll, in which... Look, I don't know what kind of crosswind was that, but we move on, and also the gear went peace on me. Anyways, physics-wise, it's actually quite decent. The turns are smooth and made sense for an airliner, and while you shouldn't just crash into the ground, oh goodness gracious, it's solid in my opinion. On the fighter jets, you have some smoke on the leading edge and decent maneuverability. And for y'all on this breeze flight, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the landing because it's probably not gonna end well. Look, I had some type of crosswind which made me land way off center. Then I executed a go around, and for second try, Now, a huge feature of AEROFLIGHT that I found was PvP, and to test it out, I had my friend Candy come out and see if he could beat me. Which, to be honest, I don't want to admit this, he kinda did. Oh crud, missile. Fire! No, do not shoot me. Oh crud. Flare! That's gone!
Guess who's back?
But ignoring that, we have 3 weapons of choosing: guns, missiles, which you can switch with the R keybind, and attack with F. You also have flares using the keybind X. I found guns to be a little bit unreliable and unpractical, especially with the need to aim at the fighter jet at supersonic speeds. With how small the jet is and making it hard to find in the first place, it's really obsolete and not useful in combat. But when I finally got it to hit, it works well, in which I was able to have Candy struggle and later blew up in air. If you are using guns in AEROFLIGHT, I do suggest using them in first-person POV, as the aiming will be a lot better as it's synced with your controlling of the plane. Missiles, on the other hand, were so much fun to use. Ooh, yeah, I see that.
No, you don't. Aww.
By clicking on your target and having them in view, you can launch a missile, which, by the way, is actually animated to blow up your opponent. If you're being locked on, you will receive a missile warning, in which you could just use flares to defend yourself with. Why are you shooting them? If done right, you can circumvent the attack. Got him. For me, this is a highlight and definitely something AEROFLIGHT should focus on, as the dogfighting mode was very entertaining, and if you have a little party in here, it'll be fun for hours. Now, the game itself wasn't laggy whatsoever, and also came with mobile capabilities where you can fly with joysticks and buttons, which makes it very highly accessible and easy to use. Again, I definitely see some similarities to PTFS, and which is actually kind of a good thing for AEROFLIGHT. Now, while not blatantly copying PTFS, the devs have put a spin on a classic simple sandbox flight experience, and while the game itself isn't that polished, I can see this being a massive hit among the platform for its versatility. I would have never found this game if anyone didn't DM me the chance to try it out, but take my words, this game should be given a shot. Finally, the last one we're gonna go ahead and talk about today is New Heights X, and while their development has been a lot slower than the other flight sims on the list, I believe it's worth talking about because they got something special. NHX has 4 planes as far as I know being made or developed: the 767, 737-800, Eurofighter, and A321. Now, while the game isn't able to be played, there is an available aircraft showcase which we can actually see the planes in game. The details are very solid, glove liveries, and while yes, you cannot fly them, it gives us a glimpse into the quality NHX is trying to achieve. By this picture, liveries can be chosen by a menu of plane in the hangar, and again, I just love the battleship gray United Airlines livery. The plane kit is quite feature heavy with an electrical panel with battery, external power, and an EPU, which comes with these very satisfying sounds. The engine startup on the 767 is Fighter 2. There's also a lighting panel with a selection of exterior lights, different camera angles for the engine, tail, and wing, and a crosshair that is similar to flight lines. And oh yeah, a landing gear panel with animated gear. We also see the airspeed, thrust level, speed brakes, radar, flaps, setting, and altitude. Other videos also show us the crash and damage physics like impact on the wing and tail, control surfaces being animated, a pushback feature with a controllable tug, and suspension upon landing. For airports, there's been development on Munich and Billund and Kansai, all which would have nighttime lighting, which looks really good. You can also customize the weather with a custom day and night cycle and fog. Dang, I can't even see anything here. So while yes, NHX is being developed at a leisurely pace, the amount of work put in has been quality, and I cannot wait to see the end result of a released New Heights X. And there we have it. Those are 5 Roblox flight simulators that may be coming out in the future. If you would like to check out any of these out, feel free to join the Discords or games in the description. But guys, thanks for watching. I'm MrBullsFan, and as always, take flight.